Hello, everybody. What is going on? How are you guys doing today? Raja Tuvon Cody, welcome in. Package Metal Corbio. Oh, cool. Like old Corbilo and Terminator Captain. That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Alright, guys. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the screen here. I will say, I'll probably say this a couple times, my sinuses are completely messed up. So, I don't know if I'm going to be streaming super long or what I'm going to be doing. Hey, Bicycles Fish, welcome. Welcome. Yeah, we're going to be talking about Heresy leaks a whole bunch, as much as I can. But, uh, yeah, I'm not sure what I will and or how long I'll be on, just because my sinuses are killing me, like I said. But today we are going to start assembling this guy, the Perturbed himself, Perturabo. So that's the plan. Cosine mode. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Drake looking at a map with their eyes. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to put him together. One thing I find interesting, so... Okay. He does... So I am missing a piece here, if he comes with it. That's interesting. Yeah, so I don't have a 40 mil base in here. I just have the 60. So I'll have to grab a 40 mil base. Yeah, good morning. Yep, started at 11. I posted in Discord and told people, but a rush is supposed to get delivered today. Oh, nice. Okay. Sweet. Well, hopefully it does get delivered. That's awesome. I want to talk about all the Heresy rules leaks. They're continually leaking all morning. There's stuff being posted. I just downloaded the pages for Psychic rules, which I want to talk about too. The main thing I want to talk about, though, it's probably a couple things I'm really excited for, but army building. Army building in the game is a lot different, and GW did post an article this morning about army building, and they did clarify something that kind of makes it a little better as well. I'm trying to. These are the instructions I have for assembling Perturabo. I don't know if these are good enough or not. But yeah, we'll see though. I'm here to be a menace. Alright, Avelios. Yeah. I know, I actually told people in that Discord, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be streaming, I wanted people to talk about this with. So I'm kinda dying right now. My sinuses are killing me, so I don't know if I'm going to be on super long, but we're going to start with Perturabo. One thing about Perturabo is he has options. So here are his hands. Yep. These are his wrists, and he has these wrist guns. Alright, you notice one of the hands is missing one of the wrists is missing a hand. So here's the hand. You can put this hammer, and this was, I think, the hammer that Fulgrim made for Ferris, or the other way around, I can't remember, but it's that hammer. And then you can also just put an empty hand, and there's his smug face right there. But you don't have to give him the hammer. So I asked the client what he wanted. He hasn't responded yet, so we're gonna avoid that step. I think everything else is just as it is, but again, I will have to grab a 40 mil base. So we can start doing we can start on the base though. Yeah, oh man, look at that chunky support. This is the difference between like legit Forge World. These pieces are so sturdy. They don't smell bad, and the the supports are chunky and in much better places overall, I think. Yeah. That up a little bit. Overall, better places for the supports. Does it include the play base? Yeah, that's funny. I wonder if it's worth sending a message. Each contemptor head has a helmet. Oh, that's a cool idea. That is a cool idea. Hey, John Lockridge, what's going on? This is not Sevatar. This is Perturabo. These the clippers don't even expand to the width. There we go. Okay. One support down. Big old chunk of resin. Let me grab a. I'm gonna grab a 40 mil base real quick. All right. So, do we want to talk about army building rules in the new Heresy edition? I want to talk about army building rules in the new edition. Yes, it is the whiny boy. Yep. So, we're gonna get these pieces, all these pieces off here, and then we'll. They're basically it works. It looks like it's like Legions Imperialis. The army building is very similar to Legions Imperialis. You have like your main detachment, and you take all these like little auxiliary detachments in addition to the main one. There are so many ways to manipulate it that I feel like any of the play styles people had, like it's maybe like the unit spam I think is reined in a little bit, but otherwise I don't think it's a hindrance. I think it might just be a little more thought put into how you get everything in your list. And it seems like you sacrifice, with the prime slots, maybe you sacrifice a bit of like unit power to take the cool units you want to take. Does that just straight up like right there does a big chunk of. This is probably the biggest chunk of Forge World resin I've ever seen, but I don't assemble many. I don't have any Forge World tanks or anything. Yeah, we'll trim that down. That. Oh yeah, and it fits right there. Dang, look at that base. This dude is crazy. Might be easier to magnetize though. Let's keep going. This looks like it goes on as 40 here. Games Workshop did mention that if you take okay, the detachment slots we've seen are for Space Marines. We don't know what they're like for the other factions. So with that in mind though, a basic Centurion actually adds more slots, which is really cool. Like, lets you take more of those auxiliary slots or whatever. Boar World resin? Yeah, no kidding, John Lockridge. What's going on, man? Ugh. All about that bit. Look at that, the knight shoulder pad, and he's got like. Are those full bullets or shell casings? I don't know. They look like actual bullets. Like he was trying to reload and he just kept dropping rounds or something. We need to take tank commanders to gain access to additional tank or rust SWAT. Yeah, I'm really curious how the Solar Aux rules and detachments are going to work. The place to look... I got to fill that. Mess that up a little bit. The place to look to maybe get an idea is Legions Imperialis, honestly, to see what they do. But yeah, I bet there's going to be, tank commanders. I bet you'll be able to take a lot of tanks in one slot, though. Like, auxiliary are going to be able to spam stuff. That flashing in there, they'll need corrected. Overall, these casts are incredible, though. This is an amazing mini. Like, the level of detail that's, like, paintable and like clear is really well done. I am very impressed. And like you see like the sprue here, like there's some of these little gates, but like this big sprue gate is connected to a tab that you won't see. Yeah, 15 more Russes, dude. Yeah. Mortal Armies might be a menace just with the new line rule as well. I don't know if you saw that, Avelios. There's a rule now called line, so I'm sure a lot of the former line troops got this rule. But what it does is it adds to the number of victory points you get when you have an objective. So an objective is worth 1 victory point when you capture it. If you have line 1, you get an additional point for holding that objective. If you have line 3, you get 3 additional points. You get 4 victory points when you grab that objective. So using line units to take objectives is huge. Yeah. So you imagine a Solar Hawk squad, if they have, like line 2 or 3, if you're able to get on objectives, then you just start racking up points. And if someone's busy spamming dreadnoughts or whatever, like, they're not going to be able to catch up. They add mid rule from 40k. What's mid? What mid rule? Yeah. Figuring out, trying to get all your units to be line would be crazy. Yeah. But that also might just be a unit rule, not like a yeah, I mean, it could. We have no idea, honestly. This isn't OC, Cody. It's different than objective secured or objective control or whatever. This is, you get the points from the, not you hold the objective more than your opponent. It's you gain victory points at a higher rate. And I think capturing objectives is going to be a different process, possibly, that, may require certain tests and everything to grab. We'll see eventually, but like I said, the whole core rulebook is leaking like all day today, so okay, I'm just gonna trim these pieces. Yeah, I like it. There's no vehicle squadrons anymore. They're all individuals. Same with the Dreadnought Talons. That was something GW mentioned. So, if you want a Dreadnought, you have to open up the slot. Again, though, there are ways to manipulate it to get like 9 Dreadnoughts in your army and not have to do really anything for it. So, right, I agree, Velios. Yeah, I think there will be differences depending on the missions. My overall opinion with what I've seen so far is that this game is leaning much more into the narrative kind of fun side of the rules and not the like competitive, let's make a streamlined game kind of thing. Hey James, what's going on? I bet I know who this is, but welcome in, dude. Welcome in. We're assembling Perturabo and talking about all the rules leaks. So, Sir Stroming Fish, welcome in on YouTube. How you doing? I haven't read about it. I am really liking what I see. Yeah, if you guys ask some questions about the core rules, I can probably answer some stuff and talk. We were just talking about army building and how it's. I like it. I like the army building. It's much more complex than just the force now. The force organization chart, the old school one, has like serious nostalgia factor, right? Like, that's what they had since like 3rd edition, was that pretty much similar FOC, but they kind of blew it wide open when they're like, you can take vehicles in squadrons and dreadnoughts in squadrons and multiple units per, like it kind of was very spammable as it was. There are detachments. Yeah, the detachments are different. And GW posted an article showing a little bit, but the rules have all leaked about what the detachments are. It's basically how they work. You take so for Space Marines, this is specifically for the Legions Astartes because other armies have their own unique detachments or differences with their detachments. But hey, James, thanks for the follow.
First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me.
So what you do, it just like cut off. So what you do is you take your like main detachment And the main detachment is you have like a praetor level character, so like a high command. You can have up to 4 command units, and then you have 4 troop units and 4 transports, and that is that detachment. You can take as much or as little as you want from that detachment. There is no requirement to fill out the detachment, but that's the limit for that detachment. At that point, there are other detachments that you take to kind of fill in the blanks. And there's a lot more to each of these than I'm saying, and I'll try to talk about it here in a minute. But you can take as many what are called allied. Okay, so allied detachments. You can take as many allied detachments as you want. And allied detachments are basically like 2 HQs and 4 troops. I think there might be a little bit differences in there for allied detachments. But those you can take as many as you want. And again, they can be as filled out as you want to. There's no like you have to take this minimum thing for the allied detachment. It just has to be a different army than what you're using, I think, for the allied detachment. You can also take what are called apex detachments. You can only have 1, I think, per like main detachment. And in apex, you either have your like Lord of War, which is like a Primarch, and he comes with a retinue and like a heavy transport, or the like big Lord of War, like the super heavies, or knights or titans or whatever. Right second, I'm curious to know how tanks increase defense and melee will work. And ranged melee armor focusing. We will talk about. I'll talk about vehicle rules next, okay? Because vehicle rules leaked, so I'll explain it because they're a little different. And vehicles got a lot more tanky, I think, in general. Yeah. So yeah, you could take one of those big like Lord of War detachments. They're called Apex detachments. Then for every command or high command mini that you take in across any detachment, you can take an additional auxiliary detachment. And auxiliary detachments have all the interesting stuff. So there's like a dreadnought one, there's an armored one, there's a transport one, there's a support one, there's a fast attack, there's a recon, there's a terminator one, there's an elite troops one. There's all of that stuff as auxiliary detachments. But it's 1 detachment per command mini. So the limiting factor is dreadnoughts. The dreadnought detachment has 1 dreadnought in the detachment. That's all it is just 1 dreadnought. And again, these are core detachments. This doesn't include Legion specific detachments. This doesn't include any like extra things that come. This is just the 1 basic like army setup, Crusade army setup. So 1 auxiliary per command model you take. If you take a Centurion that does not have a consular upgrade, so it's a basic Centurion mini, you get 2 auxiliary detachments per basic Centurion. So you take a Centurion, you can grab 2 dreadnought detachments and get 2 dreadnoughts in your army. That's the long and short of it. The high command mini gets an auxiliary detachment as well as a special option for detachments that are like retinues, or like an elite detachment that has like veteran squads, stuff like that. So the high command gets extra stuff as well. There are also units called prime units. There's no compulsory units, but the prime units get additional benefits that you choose. Skeletons are in the thumbnail that were painted. Wait. Oh yeah, Night Trap. Those were painted by me. Yeah, my banner on my YouTube channel. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yep. Yeah, those were painted by me. Let's see. This guy goes. No, he doesn't go there. Oh, there's a way to do this. There we go. that goes there. Games Workshop mentioned legions will have their own unique detachments. The other armies will have detachments that differ, so they'll have their own kind of unique things. I imagine the campaign rules and the journals that are coming out, the like campaign journals and stuff, will add more detachments, kind of like Imperialis does, like Legion of Imperialis does. So there's a lot. I think that's good to glue. Yeah. Let's do this. My glue is on its last legs here. The Death Rod. Yeah, those are from Cursed City. I painted those just for the fun of it, and they just kind of sit on a display shelf. I don't even use those in my Vampire Counts army.
Good job.
If you don't have anyone to play, that's too bad. It's strumming fish. Yeah. So vehicles. Let's talk about vehicles. Vehicles still have armor values. I don't know if the armor values have changed. They have not. I've not seen any actual vehicles. It was this piece, right? Yeah. So I can't speak to armor values. They have mentioned that hull points have gone up. How it works to okay. Oh, keeping
on target.
Sorry. Keeping this in mind that there are no rerolls in the game that I have seen. No rerolls. All the rules that added rerolls before that have been shown do not add rerolls anymore. There are still armor facings. Yes. Armor facings are still a thing. So that's all still happening. How it works is, yeah, Shred doesn't reroll. Even Armor Bane isn't 2d6 anymore, and there's no rerolls with any of that. It's wild. So how it works is same way you're trying to glance and pin armor as the last edition. So old 40k, if you guys are familiar. You take the strength of your weapon, you roll a d6, you add it to your strength. If you equal the armor value of what you're trying to hit, you get a glancing hit. If you are greater than, your roll is greater than the armor value, you get a penetrating hit. The change in this, there's quite a few changes, but the changes, if you had a glancing hit, you roll a d3, and there is a chart. The chart is very simple. On a 1 or a 2, you inflict a stunned result on the tank. Stunned result means the tank can't make reactions. That's all it is. And it has a status, which statuses do a whole bunch of stuff, regardless of which status is on the mini. But yeah, you put a status on, and the status is stunned. A 3 or 4 is, I think it's pinned, which means the mini can't move. And a 5 or a 6 is a suppressed result, which means that it's firing snapshots. Yeah, suppressed is no reactions. Hold on. Stunned is no reactions. Pinned is no movement. Suppressed is snapshots. Snapshots are different, and I'll get to that in a little bit, because they're not as punishing for Space Marines anymore. But that's all glancing hits do. They just add those statuses to the vehicles. They don't stack. Well, okay, you can have multiple statuses on the vehicle at a time. So your vehicle can be suppressed and pinned. That can happen. If you get a glancing hit a second time and it applies the same status a second time, so you're already suppressed, and then you get another suppressed result, the suppressed result doesn't stack. It just takes a hull point from the tank. Just straight up snatches a hull point instead. Right, okay, yeah, 5 or 6 doesn't give all 3. You just, when you roll, you just get that status that is rolled on the chart. So you that's how glancing hits take hull points, is you have to like continually roll the same number on the chart and add those statuses. Vehicles can get rid of the statuses by a repair roll, and it's literally a d6, and if you roll a 6, you get rid of it. Battlesmith, as a rule, so people that repair can can actually like take the test form. It makes it really easy to repair vehicles, and you repair it in your own movement phase too, which means that they won't be affected when your turn starts if you can repair it. Yeah, you definitely, yeah, exactly, Avelios. It's not just like a one solution for all. And again, snap firing isn't the end all be all either. It's different. The shooting chart is different in the game. Um, so that's glancing hits. Penetrating hits, you don't roll on the chart. A penetrating hit, you just straight up do the damage that your weapon does. So a las cannon standing still is doing 2 damage. If you get a penetrating hit, the vehicle just takes 2 hull points off. So they kind of flipped glancing and penetrating hits, but there's no explode results on the chart is the important thing. That's going to get magnetized, guys. And I think this is good to glue, but we'll need to figure out what all this stuff. I think this is what Purdy's standing on. Oh yeah, right there. Look at that. Oh, that's cool. So penetrating hits just do straight up damage. Vehicles can't be destroyed by just hitting them with the las cannon and rolling them on the chart. It's actually going to be extremely rare that a vehicle gets destroyed in one shot by a heavy weapon. Which kind of eliminates some of the feels bad, where someone brings a 400 point Kratos tank and it gets shot from across the board and dies in one shot. There's much lower chance of that happening. I'm also not peeling weapons off my vehicles during the game, which takes away some of the crunchy thematicness, but there's plenty of other crunch in the game. You'll get to use your weapons, basically. Yeah, penetrating hits just straight up. So Meltaguns in armor bane range and close range double their damage. I think a normal Meltagun 12-inch range within 6 inches, they double their damage to 6, which will one-shot a lot of tanks, a lot of smaller tanks. I think Rhinos have 5 hull points. Predators, I believe, have 6 hull points. So, a bunch of glue there. Let's try that. Yeah, I think the important thing to remember is penetrating hits are just straight damage, straight wounds through on the tank. There's no no extra chart to see if something explodes when they get a penetrating hit. Explodes results and wrecks are still there. They do have a caveat in the rule with vehicle wrecks, where you basically decide with your opponent ahead of time if wrecks are going to stay on the board when they are wrecked, or if they're going to be removed. I don't know any sane person that would remove wrecked vehicles from the board, because it's way cooler to have the dead vehicles littering the battlefield. And they have rules. Wrecked vehicles are difficult, dangerous terrain. They give you a 6-up cover save. Explodes. Vehicles exploding are a little bit more like, I guess they're a lot more like 40k, like 10th edition explodes. So vehicles have an explodes X rule. And explodes X means when the vehicle dies, you roll a die. If it hits that X number, then the vehicle explodes. And exploding is still deadly. It's strength. Scoot that over a little bit. It's a strength 8, 1 damage hit, no AP, so it's similar, but it's everything within 6 inches. There's no like D6 with how many inches. It just explodes 6 inches. So you roll the die to see if it explodes. If it explodes, it goes out that distance. So the explodes again a little more like 10th edition, which is, yeah, I get it. You know, we don't want our vehicles to die from a stray las cannon shot, and explodes are still like really deadly though. Okay. I know you can do this. Yeah, let that sit for a little bit. Like I said, my glue is kind of on its last legs. Yeah, I'm sure there will be modified. Yeah, I think you're right, Avelios. Yeah, there's no way a Titan's doing a 6-inch explosion at strength 8. Like, that's not happening. Yeah. And I imagine there's going to be like the Titan keyword that will that'll modify all of that. It'll tell you like, yeah, explodes on this, and and does all this when it explodes. So, yeah. So that's vehicles. Vehicles can't be affected by statuses from like weapons. So a flamer does panic, has the panic rule where it'll cause a unit to be routed or whatever. Like you can't do that to a vehicle from just the weapon. The only way to inflict statuses on a vehicle is through a glancing hit. That's it. So vehicles are unaffected otherwise. There are still facings. As far as I know, weapons still have arcs and everything. But I'm not. I haven't seen those part of the vehicle rules. So it's mainly just how to destroy a vehicle that's been posted. What other questions you guys got? Let me hear what's up. What do you want to know about? We'll talk about challenges, psychic powers. Charging is a big thing. Reactions, flyers. Flyers are a lot different and have some like really cool rules, honestly. But a lot of this stuff is really cool at this point. I think this thing. I think we're gonna straight up put it right there. Okay. Charging is way different, completely different. So here's how charging works. You get to your charge sub-phase or whatever, the charge phase or charging process. And the way GW lays out everything is by steps. So everything takes place during a particular step. And it's nice because the reactions and everything will tell you, hey, this takes place between step 3 and 4 of the charge phase or whatever. So like reactions take place at a very specific time. It reminds me of the some of the Star Wars rules. It's right there, doesn't it? I wonder if that actually glues right there. So it's all laid out pretty well, but hold on, gotta see if this thing sits like that. Does it? Hold on. This might be a wonky piece to try to fit. Alright, how charging works. You have your target unit, which is your squad. You pick a unit. Yeah, they're trying to be more clear. Yeah, I agree. Sir Strumming Fish. Yeah. So what it works a little bit like the old world, if you guys are familiar with the old world. You have your unit, you pick your target unit, they have to be in line of sight. And then you measure your range if they're within 12 inches. And so it seems like you pick your unit and then you measure your range. I don't know how flexible that. I need to read the rule again if you can just like measure ranges and pre-measure and everything. It might end up being a case where you pick your unit before you measure. I don't know how that works in a game where you're always allowed to measure things, but you pick your unit, you measure. If they're not within 12, you pick a new unit. Blah, blah, blah. If there's no one within 12, you don't charge. And you go on to the next unit. So, units within 12, you're in line of sight, you charge them. First thing you do is called a setup move. The setup move, you take, and this sounds wild, all right, but it makes sense once you get it together. The setup move is it's your initiative plus your movement. All right, you take your initiative, you add it to your movement, and then there's a chart. And that gives you your setup move. The shortest setup move is 1 inch. The longest setup move is 6 inches. A Space Marine squad that's, we're assuming movement 7 and initiative 4 will have a setup move of 3 inches to give you a baseline. So you take this 3-inch setup move. You don't have to move in the setup move. You can stay put. But the setup move, you move all your units closer to the target enemy. That's basically what it is. They have to move. If they're moving, they have to move closer. I think maybe they're... I thought I remember reading that they have to move as close as possible, but also you don't have to move them. So either one of those. But you move closer to the enemy that many inches, so like 3 inches. If you get into contact with the enemy squad with the setup move, boom, you're in combat, you charged. If you don't make it into contact with the enemy squad in the setup move, and if neither squad is already engaged, like the target squad isn't already engaged in combat, then you do something called volley fire. So you fire your weapons as you're moving into to combat. Volley fire, it's just weapons with the assault keyword, so pistols and maybe flamethrowers, those kind of like it's assault weapons. Melta-guns do not have assault weapons. All right, so the assault keyword is probably much more limited. But assault weapons, you do your volley fire. Volley firing is snapshots. So it's snapshots as you move in. It's not full ballistic skill. Something else to keep in mind. You snap shoot, both squads volley fire into each other. Both squads snap shoot. At that point, before you do your volley fire, the defender can make an overwatch reaction. The overwatch reaction means they can fire all of their weapons, not just assault weapons, and its full ballistic skill. So that's when overwatch happens, but you always get the volley fire if they're not already in contact. Excuse me. And yeah, both sides do it. After volley fire is done, you make your charge move. This is the weird part to me, and I read it like 4 times, and I'm still not completely sure if this is how it's supposed to be or if I'm missing something, but the charging unit makes their charge roll, and what you do, you roll 2d6, and you take the highest. That's your charge move, that many inches. So that means, at most, a Space Marine tactical squad / I don't know, despoiler squad, whatever, is charging 9 inches. It is much more consistent, but it's 9 inches. If you fail your charge, you have to test to see if your unit is stunned. So you take a cool test, and if you fail, and if the cool test fails, your unit's stunned. Yeah, Velas, how many shots are you gonna get? Like volley fire? I wonder how oh man, reactions with Solar Aux. I can see potential. With Solar Auxilia. So you yeah. So charges are slower. Now, if you have troops with like jump packs with a 12-inch move plus initiative, you might be looking at a 5 or I don't even know, maybe 6-inch. Do I have the charge rules here? Hold on, let me see if I have them up. The psychic rules, combat resolution I have. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay. Yeah, it looks like Assault Marines, depending on their movement, they might be making a 5-inch setup move. Only charging with axes. That's true. T-Slayer, how you doing? Yeah. There's a lot less randomness. It's much more reined in and consistent, the charge moves, because you're charging 4 to 9 inches. It's not 2 to 12 inches, right? Yeah. And here's another question. Excuse me. The setup move is on a per model basis also. So if you have like Fulgrim with a unit of whatever Marines, Fulgrim's going to be making a crazy setup move of like 5-6 inches or something because it's crazy high initiative and movement, while the rest of the Marines won't be moving as far. You still have to keep units in coherency and everything, but yeah, there's you know, ways to get models closer. Yeah, reactions are a lot different, but those are the charge moves. That's how charges work. Boom. It's setup move, volley fire, charge. Much more consistent. Pistols have a use, except I don't know how wound allocation is. So there might be a chance of bringing models out of the front rank, you know, making the charge harder. But that's a whole thing. I don't know about that. Misfit, what's going on? Reactions. You guys want to talk about reactions? I want to talk about reactions. After I blow my nose. So give me just a moment, guys. Okay, doesn't feel like that helped at all. But, alright, reactions. So, reactions in 3rd edition. Yeah, I'm super hyped for them. Yeah, they look cool. I'm like 85-15 on things I like and things I don't like. So we'll see. As I'm reading, I'm getting more excited though. I'm liking this stuff. Yep, and ballistic skill 4 snapshots on a 5+. So the ballistic skill chart is different. Yeah, it's alright. It's alright. So okay, reactions. Here's how reactions go. You get an allotment of reaction points per turn based on the size of the battle. So, go. All right. For a battle, up to 3,000 points. I think it's like 1,501 points to 3,000 points. You get 1 reaction point. No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing, Avella. It's the same thing as reactions have been. It's just less reactions is what this is. You could argue, yeah, I'm putting together Perturabo. That's what I'm assembling today. This is his display base. This is his actual base that somehow fits in here, and I don't know how. We're gonna figure it out though. If I just keep mashing, maybe it works. So it's not like it's like the old it's more like the old reactions, but there's just less. All right, hear me out for a minute, okay? Because people are gonna scream command points, but I feel like the older reactions were more like command points than this. All right, you do get reaction points, okay? They're also called command points. I'm just kidding. They're not. You get 1 reaction point per turn, up to 3,000 points. I think under 1,500 points there, you get no reaction points per turn. What's the way to get a second point? I can't remember. There's a way. I think it's the way to get a second point here. Well, let me see real quick. Where are all these reaction rules? Did I put them here? No, hold on. I was saving stuff in a file. Okay, here we go. Here's the little chart. I'll tell you guys. You get. Okay, you always have 1 point. No matter what, you have 1 reaction point. You get 2 points for games from 1,500 to 3,500 points. 2 points per turn. Okay, 2 reaction points. That's it. You use them in your opponent's turn, just like reactions have always been. And each reaction costs at least 1 point. There are no free reactions as far as I have seen. Okay, I need to trim off this excess here. So with the older rules, you had at minimum 3 reactions per turn, right? Because you had 1 per phase. There is no more 1 per phase. It is 2 points. You can spend them both in the same phase if you want, but that's it. Warlords might be able... I don't know if they have Warlord traits. I don't know. I haven't seen anything mention Warlord traits. Reactions are specifically in the enemy turn. They do say that. Yep, reactions are only in the enemy turn. So there's no spending, reaction points in your own turn to react. So you get these reaction points. So 2 points for a normal game, and you can spend them. And there's like 7 or 8 different reactions. The reactions tell you exactly when they happen and exactly what they do in the process of doing them. There is still some of the mean ones, like Return Fire is still there. Just mechanics that generate reaction points. Yeah, and there might be Surstroming Fish. Yeah, there could very well be Warlord traits that do it, or certain characters that, like Primarchs add a reaction point. I don't know. We have no idea at this point. Yeah, you only get, most likely 2 reactions per turn. A unit could only react once per turn. So you have that las cannon heavy support squad. They can't keep returning fire. They can't return fire and then overwatch. That's not allowed. So reactions are really toned down. There's also there's an evade reaction, but it doesn't add shrouded. Evade is moving away from a charging unit, which, knowing the charge rules, you move your initiative away from the unit. Knowing the charge rules makes that brutal. If you can get out of that short, like 9-inch range with your initiative, that means that you can just straight up make a unit fail their charge a lot easier than you could, I feel like, in 2.0. So I like that the movement reactions have a lot more potential to them. I don't know if this is this looks just like a piece of like flash here. Hip, yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, there's Return Fire, there's Overwatch. Return Fire is full ballistic skill. Still, it's not a snap fire. Overwatch, like I think we talked about, it's like takes place during that volley fire, and you can fire all your weapons at full ballistic skill. We might have to talk about some certain rules on a podcast. Yeah, me and Zen are both dying of sickness right now, apparently. So we're not much for having long conversation anyway. So we'll see how I feel after today, because I might be dying. I've been wanting to talk rules with people though, so I'm sacrificing my my voice box. Yeah, what else is there? There is an intercept reaction. The intercept reaction onto deep strikers and flyers and stuff, which we talk about deep strike and flyers. The flyer rules are super cool, but it's only snapshots. Intercept is snapshots. I'm sure there are units that will let you intercept at full ballistic skill, but yeah, you're doing a lot less reacting during the opponent's turn. And it tells you the specific steps. Return Fire is basically unchanged, though. So it's full ballistic skill. It's before units are pulled off the board. That kind of stuff. Vehicles can only shoot defensive weapons when they react, which was surprising to me that they kept that. They still have defensive weapons and everything. The Shroud one is not in. No. There is an evade reaction, but it takes place in the charge step, where you just move away from the enemy. Yeah, it's just allocation. You get 2 points for a normal army, and you decide when you want to use them. You can use them both in the same phase if you want. There might be unique reactions for each army. Um, yeah, Evelius, your tanks are going to be more tanky. It's fine. No stray las cannon's going to blow up a Lehman Russ. It's literally impossible for a las cannon to blow up a Lehman Russ in one shot. It can't happen. And I wonder, Lehman Russes, there's a chance they might have 7 hull points, and if they do, it means a las cannon can't blow up a Lehman Russ in one shot. And also, since there's no more vehicle squadrons, a tactical support squad of 5 Meltaguns can destroy at most 1 Lehman Russ a turn, which is hilarious. Just putting 30 damage into a Lehman Russ. It's almost a guaranteed kill, not quite. There are more, yeah. Meltaguns are gonna be, they're weird. Yeah. GW confirmed there's no more tank squadrons or talons, so they don't happen. And I don't know if that was just for Legions of Astartes or not, but yeah, that's what they said. Um, yeah. Speaking of Meltaguns, they have an armor bane rule, and you're like, man, Meltaguns are an auto kill on vehicles, right? They do 6 damage in Melta range, and they have armor bane. What does armor bane do? Armor bane is way different. Armor bane doesn't add any extra dice to penetrate armor. So a Meltagun being strength 8 still needs a 6 to get a glance on a Lehman Russ front armor. However, armor bane counts glancing hits as penetrating hits. So Meltaguns will never roll on the glancing hit chart. They just penetrate if they get the 6. But a Meltagun has to roll a 6 to pin tanks. To pin armor 14 tanks. So even then, I don't think it's a guarantee that 5 Meltaguns in Meltagun range blow up a Lehman Russ. Which is crazy to think about. That's even like a possibility that a Lehman Russ survives that. And a lot of people were concerned when they saw the Meltagun rules, and they were like, "Well, tanks are just dead because you just deep strike a unit of Meltaguns and you just blast it." But even that is not a guarantee. And speaking of deep strike rules changed a bunch. Which was one that surprised me with how they changed it. Deep striking units don't scatter. There's no more scattering deep strike units. You pick a spot 1 inch away from terrain and enemy models and everything, and then you put the unit there. There's a certain way you place the units. They all have to be within 6 inches of the first model. They have to be in coherency. And if anyone starts hitting terrain, they basically just start dying. But deep strike units cannot move. They can shoot. They cannot assault the turn they come in. And in the base rules, you can only deep strike 1 unit per turn. I am sure there will be changes depending on legions and armies to that rule. But 1 unit deep striking. So let's take the ultimate terror scenario, all right? And let's math this out. Evelios has a Lehman Russ, I don't know, what do you like, Demolisher, sitting out, maybe toward the back of the board, because that's what he would do. No, well, whatever. Lehman Russ sitting there, unit deep strikes, they deep strike right in the front of that Lehman Russ, and the unit is a Meltagun tactical support squad. Let's say 5 of them. Someone's like, I got a little assassin team. We're going to okay, back of the board with Vanquisher. Okay, they deep strike right in the front. Meltagun range 1 inch away from the Lehman Russ. This is their one unit they can deep strike this turn. Say they have 3 of those squads. Okay, cool. They deep strike this one. It's turn 2. You can bring in reserves on turn 1. You can't deep strike until turn 2. But anyway, they deep strike. Okay, and they shoot the Leman Russ. They're hitting. They have 5 dudes. We'll say 6 dudes to make the math easier. 6 dudes. They're hitting on 3s because they're ballistic skill 4. You get 4 hits on that Leman Russ. Then Leman Russ front armor 14. You need a 6 to glance the armor of the Leman Russ. There are no pluses or minuses to your roll. There's no rerolls. There's no double dice. There is, with 4 hits, you have a better than 50-50 shot of, what, a 4 and 6? What is a 4 and 6? You have a 2/3 chance of pinning the armor on the Leman Russ, but that's it. 6 Melta guns have a 2/3 chance after a 2/3 chance to wreck the. That's a 1 in 3? Is that what that is? Is that what that maths out to be? Something like that, right? What units of 2.0 could deep strike on their own with more than Inferno pistols? I mean, like, drop pods. Thousand Suns can do tactical support squads. I can do 6 of those squads. I could deep strike. Yeah, different armies had different deep strike shenanigans. Yeah. Mechanicum has a good amount. Yeah. Okay, so he's going to go up there, but we're going to put him separate. We're going to paint the base separate. I like that the base is completely removed from the mini here. Yeah, it's crazy to think that a deep strike, a perfectly placed deep strike squad of Melta guns has a better chance of not killing the Leman Russ than killing it. And because of how the Armor Bane rule works, if they don't kill it, that Leman Russ is completely untouched and can fire whatever it wants afterwards. Which means that Melta Gun squad might just be killed by the Leman Russ. Now, it could return fire into the Leman Russ if the Leman Russ specifically shoots at them afterwards. But, there's obviously, like, in a vacuum compared to, like, actual rules, how things work. It's a lot different. Okay, so when we're doing, let's see. It's an interesting. He just okay, he's got little stubby biceps. Okay, I was like, wait a minute, it's not looking good. But yeah, okay, let's get this backpack moving. Drop pods are pretty big, so screening them is a thing. Yeah, drop pod will be easy to screen. That's true. Termites will be a thing. The assault drills, I wonder if they'll be really good too. I don't know. Can we talk about flyers? Flyers are really cool. I want to talk about flyers. Alright. Flyer rules. You guys ready? So this is specifically like jets. Thunderhawks and Xiphons and Thunderbolts and assault rams and all that stuff. They start the game in reserve. Like flyers, I think, in every GW game, pretty much. Every sci-fi game they make. They start in reserve. They actually start in something called aerial reserve, which is its own specific type of reserve. And they come on the board on a 3+, starting in the first turn. And you can choose to make the roll. You don't have to make that roll in the first turn, or in any turn. You don't have to roll for them to come on the board. They come on, and what you do, you assign them a mission, a combat mission. So there's, I think, 4 different combat missions you can give the flyers. There is one that is a basically like a drop, like bringing a unit on and disembarking the squad from the transport. That's one of the missions. There's an extraction mission where you bring the plane on to let a unit board and then they leave. So you can do an extraction mission. There is a, I think it's called a strike mission, where you have like a focused target and you like beeline it for the target to try to take it out. And then there's a strafe mission where you come in and you're just basically shooting stuff and causing havoc. So you can literally bring in a Thunderhawk onto the board, have a unit board it, and then you leave the board. And then they can come back in later. I don't know how cool that sounds to you guys, but that sounds awesome to me. It makes me want a Thunderhawk even more. But how it works, you take your reserve roll. If they come in, you give them the mission. They fly onto the board. They do their mission, depending on what it is, and then they leave the board at the end of the shoot phase. That's it. They don't stick around on the board through the enemy's turn. What the enemy can do is there's a reaction called Intercept that they can take. And again, Intercept is snap firing only. Oh, the 3 Arvises are going to be so freaking cool. Yeah. Yeah, the fact they can just come in and like pick up your commander and leave. And you just have like 3 of them doing it. Oh, that's so cool, dude. Yeah. Like, oh, this squad's in trouble. Get them out, you know? The thematic like picture of that is awesome. But the you can intercept, and then the other way to blow them up when they're on the board is with something called a combat air patrol, which is another reaction. I think it's a reaction where you bring your own jet in. It comes in and attacks the enemy jet and then just leaves the board right after that. That's the combat air patrol. So I have a Xiphon, I keep it in reserve, and I purposefully don't bring it on the board. When the enemy brings their jets on the board, I use the combat air patrol, I come in and shoot something down and leave. And like, that's how that works. Yeah, you drop units off, and like I know the extraction one specifically, you bring in an empty transport, or I guess a transport with capacity. You move it, and it close to the unit, and if the unit embarks on it like it's a regular transport, at the end of the turn it leaves. And I think it can snap fire with its guns too, so it gets some shooting with its weapons when it comes in. The strike mission, you move your full distance, but you're snap firing a lot of weapons, except for like guided missiles. Yeah. Guided missiles are like the big things with strike missions. So you come in and like you're firing Mavericks or whatever onto units, and your center line weapons, I believe. And then the strafing run, you move half your movement value on your flyer, but you can fire all your weapons. You just come in and you're just like wrecking stuff. Yeah, jets don't stick around. That's the big thing about flyers is they come in, do their work, and leave. Does this do go here? How does this? That sits up there. Okay, all right. These do need trimmed. Hey, Spilled Paint Pot, what's going on, man? What's going on? We're assembling Perturabo and to talk about 3.0 rules. Yeah, I really like the jet rules. I have my Xiphon, which will be really cool. It'll be really cool, like area denial piece. Oh, you dude, you missed it all. We're talking about a bunch of stuff. I want to talk about psychic powers. Psychic powers are the whiniest Primarch, yeah. Psychic powers one I haven't dove too much into how they work. I did look up some of the actual like disciplines and stuff. But I only have like a basic understanding of how psychic powers work. Psychic powers, basically, it's your willpower, so it's like that sub leadership stat. You roll 2d6, you have to get lower, equal to or lower than your willpower. Boom, psychic power goes off. I know, dude, I know, but they look so cool. If you roll a double, you perils. That's what it is. And the perils has a chance to add a status to your unit, which is really bad, or just to like kill some minis. So, yeah, it's any double as far as I understand. Any double causes a perils. So, I need to read that a little closer just to be sure, but I think it's any double. Some of the psychic power, so each discipline gives a couple things. They give you a psychic weapon, they give you a psychic ability, and they give you a keyword, and they give that model a special rule. And the special rules are super cool. So the Pyromancer explodes on a 4+. So if you kill the Pyromancer, I roll a die. On a 4+, he explodes like 6 inches and kills everybody around him, which is amazing. The telekinesis discipline gives a shrouded 4-up save, so it's a 4-up damage mitigation save to your character. The divination one is interesting because it gives your character the duelist edge 2 rule, and the duelist edge means in a duel you get like +2 to that like initial focus roll. So the divination character is a duelist through and through. Like that, the character will be winning duels, which makes me excited because I know Azek Ahriman is a duelist, or he's a divination sorcerer. Like that's his thing, and I want to see him just like get into duels with people and beast them because he passed a psychic check. There's one called Thaumaturgy, which is like healing, and the Thaumaturgists, their special rule is they hate psychers, which is funny, and yeah, they just straight up hate psychers. Which hatred is a different rule; it doesn't give you a reroll. It gives you +1 to wound. Because again, there are no rerolls in the game. As far as I've seen, there are no rerolls. You bravely run away. Yeah, I don't think I'll need to use a psychic power to kill a Solar Ox character though in a duel. Hey, Gosu, what's going on, man? The powers seem good. There's some good stuff with the powers. They don't seem crazy. They seem pretty toned down, like in the last edition. They definitely pared down telepathy. Telepathy is not. It does do like psychic or leadership stuff on people and statuses, but it's a lot harder to pull off. It's not just like guaranteed pinning a unit. What's going on, Mydril? Iron Blood ship. Oh, it's flagship from the Heresy. Oh, that's cool. Nice, Gosu. I am destroying my voice right now, talking about all the rules for Heresy. So that's what we're doing. I don't know how long I'm going to be on, but I am feeling better. Not great. My sinus are just killing me. It's crazy. Get to play a game. Oh, cool. What are you playing, dude? What are you playing? And hey, Star Laser. Let me see. Hold on. I'm going to go through... where are these psychic disciplines? Okay, Biomancy. You get a roll called Impact Strength. So when you charge, you get bonus strength. Also, the Biomantic weapon is pretty monstrous. It's just like a souped up like vehicle or dreadnought killing like power attack, which is pretty great. And it gives +2 strength and toughness to its unit when they charge. So that's good. Pyromancy explodes. Telekinesis, you get shrouded as a rule. Divination, you get the duelist edge rule. Telepathy, you get fear 1, which is really cool. You cause fear to people around you, so telepathy might still be really good. Thaumaturgy, you hate psychers. Yeah. Some good stuff. Really good stuff in the psychic powers. Yeah, I think perils are a little more punishing. Hopefully, maybe a little more rare. I don't know. And if you have a higher willpower, you take less effects from the what do you call them? Perils. These colors are very little reference when I painted my Kratos. Cool to see how yeah. GW paints some nice looking Iron Warriors minis. I like the army they showed off in the article with all the Solar Ox and stuff hanging out with them. Yeah, Mindro, what game you playing? Is this like Warhammer? You playing Warhammer? You playing something else? Yeah, it's funny reading through these Heresy rules. I'm like, man, there's so much like little interactions and little things happening, and it looks so much more complicated. Like things are going to slow down. The challenge phase is a whole thing, and just running through challenges is pretty crazy. Where you can actually you do multiple combat phases in a challenge phase or in a challenge. You can just keep running it as many times as you want in a turn and keep it rolling. But after all of that, I think them getting rid of rerolls in the game sped the game up a lot. Look at that. Okay. Little bit of a janky fit. Not 100% there. Something I need to pare down. Don't want that gap. Yeah, no compulsory troops. But the prime selections are really cool, though. Just getting stuck. So those both fit just fine. Something in the back, maybe? Yeah, there's a little bit of... Yeah, Gosu, there is a line rule. And the line rule just straight up gives you more victory points when a unit with the line rule captures an objective. So like I feel like those tactical marines and stuff are going to be just as necessary as if they were compulsory. Like you're going to need units with line to win the games. Because I can see the scenario where someone takes like oops all elite units and no one with line, and then the player with line takes like one objective at the start and gets 4 points out of it, and then the other player is just struggling the rest of the game to try to play catch up. Where's the current turn system? Yeah, there's a Troy talking about like doing a, each player takes a phase and you alternate doing the phases instead of the turns. We've played apocalypse level games, like big point level games, using that kind of system, but it's basically like everybody moves all their minis, then everybody shoots with all their minis, then you pull up casualties, then everybody charge. Like we've done that as apocalypse games, and it works well as long as people are being real cool about it. There's obviously ways to game it to make it not fun, but just out of curiosity, this piece goes right Those have to go in separate though, don't they? Little cord will fit right there. I want to see how much is showing and how much. Okay, that gets completely covered up. That gets complete. Okay, I think we're good on this. Yeah, seeing the Legion rules are going to be huge. I think Legion's having unique detachments, unique maybe reactions, unique gambits for duels, all kinds of stuff like that. I think is going to be a really big deal and really significant to the game, and I'm really excited to see that. Gonna book club the rules. Dude, we should have a hangout time and just talk about the rules, like as a club. That'd be really cool. Okay, there's grab. Where are my tweezers? Something I'm gonna have to do here. I told Sam that I'd be happy to do like tutorials and walkthroughs, or like a day of like doing stuff at the local store if you wanted help, or if you wanted someone to do that kind of stuff. So we'll see. I think at that point he was like, we're a little far out for that, but it's you. It's there. Okay. That piece. It's right there. Apparently too much glue there. That'll all get covered anyway. Alright, these pieces will be covered, and I'm thinking this will be covered by his head. If not, we can fill that in. But he's got a large neck here. Looks like he'll be fine. We can try it. Try it just to make sure. Yeah, that's fair. Discord matters, that's for sure. That's fun. I hope I can get his head in here. I might have to glue his head in, because this might be too difficult. Yeah, I don't know. That might be too tight a fit. I might just glue his head in, guys. Could do some silver in the back, and I think it's a rat's nest of tubes, and it is, dude, it is. Yeah, I think this just needs glued in now. I'm normally not a fan of doing this, but I don't think I'm going to be able to put his head in once it's painted. So he had to wear Terminator armor. Another way to fit this. Yeah, I can see it now. No, it doesn't. It's flat. Yeah, look how... You can see how wide this dude's neck is. Look at that. Look at that. Dude's gotta have sleep apnea for sure. Yeah. Here's what we're gonna do. Kind of like that. I think that might be it. You know what's wild is I think his head, the little tubes are actually supposed to plug into specific things. Yeah, I might have them. I think that might be it. Right there. Sorry, Purdy. I am going to do his arms separate, though. We're going to keep these arms separate. I can't finish the arms yet because I'm not sure. Oh, I don't know if I can do the arms. Oh, man, they have the ammo belts on them. Oof. Okay, yeah, we'll see. Yes, it has these ammo belts. Thick neck to hold up all the brain cables. Yeah, just constant neck workout because he's just plugged in, right? Maybe have other questions about new edition they would like answered. Time for resin paint, yeah. Are they? Oh man. Well, let's see. Let's where do they hook in? They hook straight into his little wrist bolters, don't they? So let's get these things first. Okay, you. And I mentioned this before, but I don't currently have an answer yet on whether he's getting the hammer or not. I'm assuming he is, but I don't want to assume too much. So, okay, buy resin trunks. Do I think it'll be a melee heavy or a terrain heavy? I think a terrain heavy board is better anyway. So yeah, I think heavier terrain will favor from what we know at this point. I don't know, we don't have a complete picture. From what I know at this point, I think melee armies will definitely want more terrain. Duh. Right, but I think more so than ever. The charge move is unaffected by terrain. So you roll that 2d6 and you choose the highest. That is unaffected by difficult terrain. You can still die from dangerous terrain, but it's unaffected by difficult terrain. So I assume that that they'll want terrain on the board, slowing things down, or at least cover. Right, you want more cover and line of sight blocking. I'm curious about terrain rules, just for like the specifics of how they work, because there's a lot that goes into that. Like if there's more ways to block line of sight, then good. That's the kind of stuff we want. But I think last edition, I think it was much more like units had to be, or people and communities had to be kind of policed on what terrain did, or else it was just not fun because it was, if I can see an inkling of a model through 6 windows, like, you got a 6 up cover save, but I can see you. And I don't like that. I like having the ability to hide models and, you know, giving the benefit of the doubt to the mini trying to hide themselves instead of the sniper on the roof or whatever. Yeah, I do have rules for combat phase for like full on like how combats work. I haven't been able to read it though. I was downloading it as like stream was starting, so um, I'm not sure if there was a lot of like functional changes to how a melee works. I imagine there's going to be some new words for things. There's pursuit as a thing that might just be replacing sweeping advanced. Um, but I don't know. Depending on what's going on tomorrow, guys, the painting son might be painting with me. I printed him some tactical marines. He's all into Horus Heresy right now, probably because I won't shut up about it. But he wants to paint some salamanders. We got to test out a color scheme and stuff, though. Maybe we'll do that this weekend, and then he'll join me on stream. What ground trips would work against the Predator Annihilator? Oh, ground troops would work against Predator Annihilator. Aggressors or eradicators? Eradicators would be better because they're just chock full of Melta, right? With a bunch of rerolls. Yeah, I don't. Aggressors' weapons aren't really made to destroy a Predator. Up. Let's just make sure that's fully cleaned up. Oh, his little like pointer thing's a little saggy. Yeah, I want to check real quick. Let's see here. All right. I don't think there's been really much new posted. I'm gonna be real surprised if GW manages to do this whole game without a reroll. Without any rerolls. Or even with how little they have, I think it's crazy. And I think that the game might actually just run faster. Redemptor from the Leviathan box. Yeah, that's a pretty good tank. I don't know if that tank will reliably one-shot the Ballistus Dread, right? If you're just wanting to straight up kill it as fast as possible, the Eradicators would be your best bet. However, the Eradicators have to get close, so they might not be able to do that right away. The Ballistus, on the other hand, will be able to shoot at the target from turn 1. And will put out some pretty reliable damage. Lurk and Mo. Alright, man. Alright, have a good one. Man, I'm so excited to see the Legion rules. One of the cool things with the psychic abilities, I told you guys the divination dude is like a duelist, right? His psychic ability, well, okay, I think it's his weapon. He doesn't have a psychic weapon, but he has a no, it's not a reaction to, it's a gambit. Instead of a psychic weapon, he has a challenge gambit. So the challenge is, you pick gambits before you start, and that like affects, how you do in a duel. So with divination, you take your psychic check, and if you pass, you're hitting your enemy on a 2+. That's what it is. You know all their moves, and you use divination to win the duel. I want to see how I got that math of Elios, or how whoever did, because I'm only seeing 9 inches as a max. Let's see if someone... Yeah, no, it's max 9. It's max 9. Does new edition of Horus Heresy have any smaller game modes? Cometro and Spearhead. Hey, Scott. Yeah, welcome on YouTube. They talk about there's some differences, some things in the rules that we've seen so far that show like what you do with smaller points values. And I think with the new detachments, it scales down better. So, I don't see a specific like combat patrol style rule set, but between reaction changes and detachment styles, it seems like it's more geared toward um, a wider range of points values in the game. Also, with all the rules coming out, it's super easy to like misread something. Like I'm sure I've misread a lot, and I might be misrepresenting some rules too, just from what I've read real quick. But like that's just kind of what happens with new rules. Like people get stuff wrong. So if you find something you want to correct me on, by all means. No hard feelings here. Okay, so what's gonna happen? I would say it seems like the heresy rules are not going toward simplifying things. So just off the bat, if you're looking for like a oh, man, I wanted to get into heresy, but it looked too complicated. Like this is going the opposite direction of what you wanted. The game's got a lot of crunch to it. That's the side that'll have the ammo belt, right? Yeah. Ammo belt looks like a nightmare. Be cool if Heresy had the small scale combat. It was just epic duels. Scott, they do have that. Yeah, that is literally a new part of the rules, though. I think what you can do, because there's a whole challenge subphase, so like epic combats between big characters, you can literally just meet up with someone and be like, "Hey, let's do a challenge," and just each bring a character that you want, and then boom, you just fight a challenge and see who wins using the gambits and the and all the different challenge rules. Like that is literally a part of the game, though. So I was actually thinking about that the other day when they were talking about the challenge rules. Was like, I mean, that'd be a cool like mini game. You can just take characters and you know try out different things and see who's the best. But like, there's a little more than just rolling dice to it. Yeah, I love the setup move preventing Overwatch and the volley fire and stuff. I think that's really cool. Yeah, because if you make it into contact with a setup move, then everybody's just kind of out of luck for any kind of reactions to it. Okay, let's clean up these shoulders. That has that. Yeah, we're just about done with the work we can do on this mini today. Listen, he's not been bad at all to assemble. I'm sure those ammo belts are going to give me a problem, but... Combat patrol for each Primarch, and then just play Primarch duels, yeah. Yeah, there's even mechanics for when you have units in a squad and you're dueling with a character, that they add a bonus to your character because they're like cheering them on. It's like support for the character. And if the other character doesn't have units, then you get like extra support from the units, like surrounding you and like cheering you on and stuff. Your hype squad. It's great. I love that idea. This sounds so much fun. Only be done within 12 inches. So if your unit has a large setup move, it's impossible. Yeah, I think the largest setup move is 6 inches though, right? Yeah, the largest setup. So at most, you have a 12-inch charge on the fastest units. But Evelios, there's some play in there of I'm gonna declare the charge to get extra volley shots into the unit with like my flamethrowers that might have assault. And even if I'm gonna, I'm guaranteed to fail the charge, and I'm gonna risk taking the stun result, because if I can kill these couple of units with my volley fire, like I can get ahead in the game. So it makes pistols, which are, we've found out pistols are assault weapons, that much more interesting, and have like a good utility in there. Is that a hole? That looks like a hole there. No one's gonna see that, but I have not seen many flaws in this mini, so that's an interesting one to see. Judo box, a good kill team. Yeah, they would need plastic characters before they start doing that nonsense, because that's a $300 box with those 2 characters in Forge World Resin. So Flamers might ignore. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what Flamers do, because if Flamers are assault, and they get to do the wall of death or whatever that they get, like there might be some big potential for flames just like stopping charges. I don't know. Yeah, it's something we don't have rules to yet. Yeah, flamethrowers might be super good this edition, especially if you're not wanting to get into combat. That's an interaction I do not approve of, really? Are you talking about shooting just to fail the charge on purpose? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about flamethrowers? Doing extra work. What's this? Yeah, you're that arm. Ignoring the deficit. Yeah, and there might be something that... Oh, does this... Oh, just like that. That's pretty beasty. Alright, let's get this... And it might just be a thing where flamers aren't assault, so you have to use the Overwatch reaction to use them. But if they actually Overwatch, maybe they do a lot of damage. Flamers and snapshots needing a 4 up to hit under the template. That may have been fan made. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any rules for flamers yet. Ah. All those months ago. Okay, needing a 4+ to hit. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the proper arm here. This doesn't sit as tight. That is nice and snug, though. All right. Man, how little these other Primarchs require pinning. It's crazy. Now, one thing I might pin here, the hammer. If we end up doing the hammer, I might pin the the actual hammer into the handle here. I'm not sure if that's what the customer wants, but that's what we would do. Otherwise, what is this? Oh, these are things on top of his... yeah, they go on top right here. So I'll get that. We have arms, though. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3. I think the arms will do separate. 4, 5. We'll have the weapon in there. The ammo belts will be a thing. 6, 7 or 8 pieces. Not bad. Just to see where this fits, it should go right there. Go just like that. Okay. I did see Avelios. Charges, there's disordered charges. So, you can charge out of any transport now. The difference is, if you charge out of a transport without the assault transport rule, it counts as disordered. Disordered charges, I believe, just set your initiative at 1 for that combat. I could be wrong, but I think I have that rule. Here we go. Okay, charges and statuses. Oh, okay, no, it's under the tactical statuses rules. So, let's see. Let me see tactical statuses. There are tactical statuses, units, reactions. I had the tactical statuses here. Where are they? Just opening all kinds of garbage. see. Units. No, I think initiative stays at 1. And I think it says specifically that your initiative is 1 regardless of modifiers. Those are flyers. Where are my status rules? I had them. I don't know where they are now. But there is a specific thing. I think the disorder charges every model in the squad is initiative 1. So if you have a unit with like very large firefighter looking axes that are already hitting at initiative 1, charging out of a Dracosan probably isn't the worst move. You know, like as an example, right? Yeah, drought 3. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Or I don't know if this is possible. It's just a thought. Just a thought. Dropping in 10-man units in an Arvis. If you can somehow get out and assault, which you probably can't, but how cool would that be? Right, yeah, it might not be allowed. There's a good chance it isn't, but still. It's cool to think about. See, that's why you bring in like so you drop a unit with Arvises with rotor cannons in. All right, hear me out for a second. While you drive up the axe dudes in the Dracosan, and then you hit a unit with the rotor cannons and pin them. And then I believe they're striking at initiative 1 when they have a status on them. So then you charge and you're all initiative 1. And then you'll hit them at the same time. And that's how you kill the squads. That's how you trade into Terminators. This with the Velatari. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. That'd be cool. Yeah. Transports, there's no dedicated transports in the game anymore either. So I'm pretty sure you can just put whatever you want in whatever you want, kind of thing. I don't know if I don't think it has to share detachments either, based on what the current detachments look like. When there's a whole detachment of just transports. just to check here again. Standing just like that. I have not had to unwarp anything yet. These legs are a little off, but they'll sit. They'll sit. I think the last thing I want to figure out today is this god-awful base that doesn't at all look like it's going to fit. Look at that. That's cool. Is it really, like, why would they do this? Do these things need magnetized then? Should I break these off? It's this thing right here. Why do they have a chunk of resin there? This goes... Yeah, that's crazy that they did that though. Like, I can't fit the pieces in. Okay, this base has to... I feel like dudes from Zoolander. That goes right there. Because it's got a little notch that fits it. Gosu, you assembled this dude? Yeah, worst case scenario, if I need to magnetize these pieces, I'll just pop them in the freezer. But that's crazy. That's the worst I've seen of this, is that just straight up won't come in here because of that this little nub right here won't let this sit in here at all. How would this go in? I think it goes in like this. Yeah, because this has to line up like somewhere close. Be like that. It sits like that, and then we have this. No, it has to go in further because this piece won't fit on here. Oh, that's wild. That is wild that they did that to me. Alright, yeah, might need some freezer time. Okay, well, we got a puzzle to figure out. Well, let's go through here. Let's take a little inventory on what we got. We got a base that I think needs popped apart. So, freezer, we have these two big chunks I think we're going to pull off. And then we're going to try to start making it work while magnetizing these pieces. And they'll be easy to magnetize because they all fit right in with each other. We have the base piece of the play base, because this fits on here somehow. That's another puzzle to figure out. But he's got a giant base. He's going to be pretty tall. So we have that. We have two other base pieces. This goes on his play base, and this just covers that piece right there. So it'll go right there. That's another piece to magnetize. We need to make sure that all fits well. We have Perturabo himself with no arms. Otherwise looking really good. We got all the pieces on him. He doesn't have a cape, which is really nice. I don't have to paint the cape for once. But he has that, and then we have his two arms. The other thing I need to figure out, and I'll need to do, is we need to do these ammo belts, which look pretty bad. Not as bad as the stuff on Fulgrim or Magnus, but they look like they could be pretty difficult. So we'll figure these out. I don't think I need to split in between these bullets either. I think they'll be fine. Maybe. Oh, there are clear spots. Yeah, maybe a needle to punch through there some. And then the last thing we need to figure out, his last hand here, this arm, does it have the hammer or just a fist? Just a flesh wound, yeah. So those are the things we have to figure out. Might be back tomorrow to finish this up. I think that's what we'll do tomorrow, and we'll see what else we can do. Get some paint out or something tomorrow if I'm feeling up for it. But I am about done. I think I'm done. It's about as much as I can do. Yeah. So I'm going to go rest my voice and chill with the family because it's summer. And tonight, if you guys want to hang out, we're going to do the Patreon hangout. We'll probably be talking more about this nonsense, even though we don't have a lot of Heresy players. But we'll be talking more things. We'll just be chilling. I'll be hobbying while we're... I got to give them whatever the client wants. I'm assuming it's going to be the hammer, but I can't, like... I don't want to make that assumption because, it's not my mini. But yeah, we'll be hanging out tonight in the Patreon hangout. So if you any paid level in the Patreon gets you so $1 a month or whatever, you come hang out with us. It's just a Discord chat. We hang out for a couple hours and talk and everything. So we'll be doing that. Decide and dare them to defy. Oh, that's great. That's so good. But yeah, we'll be doing that, and then tomorrow I should be back to streaming, provided I'm not like horrible. But you guys have a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see some of you later tonight and others of you tomorrow. But have a wonderful day, guys. Bye, everybody.